And one
Hello,
shot.
welcome back to GameSpot's continuing coverage of E3 2015. We're here on the live show floor. Oh my goodness. Jamie Jackson, Freestyle Games just turned up.
Hey, man.
And Matt Shadow's just, Avenged Sevenfold just turns up as well.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I had no idea you were coming. What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, well, it's,
Such
it's
as the,
good to be here.
Yeah, such as the madness of E3. And of course, Ben's here with your fancy new ass plastic controller situation. You are no stranger to making new controllers. Obviously, you guys based in Lemming and Spa did DJ Hero 1 and 2. What was it like tackling the guitar?
It was interesting, man. I mean, you know, when we started to think about it, we were like, you know, it's going to be 5 years by the time we come back.
Yeah.
When we come back, and you know, Guitar Hero will have been gone, and we were thinking, look, we got to come back with something new. Like, if we just bring the same gameplay, everyone that's an expert player or whatever is going to get straight at it. Everyone that only ever hit medium is going to straight hit medium. And we were like, look, we've got to give you a new challenge. So we started to think about how could we do it, and we tried loads of different configurations with the buttons and things like that. But what we figured, and some people say to me, what is it about you guys and 3 buttons with DJ Hero and everything? But you know, there's 6 buttons, and but we were like, you know what? So many people only use 3 fingers when they play the game. Like, as soon as they have to use the pinky, and I was one of them.
Freak out.
Yeah, freak out. Couldn't do it. May as well chop it off. It's useless to me, right? And
you must think those people are just massive pieces of shit. So they can't even use like all their fingers.
I don't judge anyone. Yeah.
So we were like, right, we need to make something that is going to kind of play into people's play patterns. You know, where people are just using their 3 fingers, but how can we add depth to it? And that's really where the idea came from. Is kind of bringing that second row of buttons in above the top. You know, we only bring it in on a slightly more difficult level, and it allows us to kind of add difficulty, but people don't get out of their comfort zone by having to use their pinky. So that was kind of one of the first drivers, and then really it was like, we started to go, you know, what makes people feel like a rock star, and it was always the guitar. You know, everyone was like, the motion of putting it on, and we said, you know, what is that? And everyone kind of does this like air guitar, like you do this, it's like the universal sign of it. And this bit we got pretty right. But then we started to look, well, people do this with their fingers, and they were kind of going up and down the strings kind of thing, so that helped us, kind of drove us down that route to kind of make this hand do something a little bit different.
Excellent. Matt, did you play these games at all during the whole like progression of the series?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I played them, and I enjoyed, you know, the more technical stuff when Dream Theater had some songs in there, and they got more progressive and metal. I enjoyed that because it was, you know, quick fingers, and people that can really play the game, it was really impressive to me. Yeah. Because it's a completely different thing than...
yeah, when you go and play your songs, does it ever feel any way approximating what you're actually doing with your real guitar? Is it like, are there ever moments where you're like, ah, that's kind of there?
Well, you know, Sinister would be the one to ask, but since I do play guitar, I mean, it's close. It's really close, especially with the way that the 6 buttons are set up. It's more of a chord progression, right? You can do chords. You would do chords down there. You can do multiple buttons instead of going all over the place, because that would be like playing a solo at all times. This is more like playing a real guitar, so it gets even closer with this controller.
Speaking of solos, all the hammer-ons still work? Is that still okay?
Still got all that in. I mean, if you see anything come up there with a little glow around the base of it, that's what that is.
So for those who are watching now, the white ones are the ones on the bottom. You guys sort of telegraphed that by having them pointing down as well.
Yeah, we thought we would try and make it as easy as possible. So those pointing down and white, that's bottom row. Pointing up, black, top row. And then where you see the half and half squares, you might have just saw that, that's both buttons.
Cool. One of the other things that's happened with you guys sort of reinventing this guitar is that, I guess, when the Guitar Hero franchise continued and you guys kept like adding instruments and whatnot, the guitar stayed the same for the most part. There were some mechanical differences. So when a new Guitar Hero came out, I was like, oh yeah, I know how to use this. You know, I'm a fan of video games. I can't play the normal guitar for shit, but I know how to play this. It's familiar. A kind of interesting thing you've done is you've reset the playing field. So even people who are big Guitar Hero fans are going to have that like eureka moment where their hand does what they wanted to all over again.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it's still familiar, right? You know, we were playing it earlier, and you know, as Matt said, these guys have played the game before. It didn't take long for everyone to get back into it, and it doesn't take long, especially like our expert players. One of the things we find our expert players who do use the pinky and run down, they kind of have ghost pinky. They keep trying to do this for a little while. But we found it takes like maybe 2 songs, and the kind of familiarity of what you're doing kicks in, but then you're into the challenge, and it's like I'm learning something new. The game is challenging me on a different level, which is, you know, I think you got to do that with a new game.
Well, people don't want the same thing. There's no point in relaunching the series if you're going to do the same thing. It's like when Nintendo moved on and you got the Xboxes, the controllers change and they progress and it just gets better, but you get used to it after you know, a couple of minutes. You know,
you gotta keep. Yeah, you gotta. It's like you gotta keep up with the times, but then once you're in there, it becomes second nature again.
Totally.
Yeah. I want to ask you in a second, Matt, about the Guitar Hero TV stuff. But first of all, since we have this footage up in front of us here, just speak a little bit about the FMV situation. I saw some of your guys came to our studio a couple of weeks back, and I was playing, I think it was an Elbow song, and it was like straight up green screen in the background still.
Yeah.
Talk about the process of making that, because there's sort of two different levels to each FMV or full motion video crowd you have here.
I love that you call it FMV. I know even FMV since I was a little kid is always like that awesome part of the video game that looked rad, and I'm like
3DO.
Kind of suppose it is a little bit. So basically, you know, what we wanted to do, we wanted to put you on stage looking at the crowd and kind of make you the rock star, and you know, so you can see what it's like, you know, being Matt and whatnot.
Is there a mini game where you have to come and talk about the game on an E3 stage show?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, stick it in.
We're going to do that. So, you know, the first thing was, let's turn the camera around, let's make you perform to a crowd. You know, we had a code word when we were making it, which was stage fright. We wanted to give you stage fright.
Yeah.
So then early on we then said, well look, you know, why don't we do it a little bit differently than, you know, just inside a game engine. Let's film real people, and then let's try and figure out a way for them to react to you. So the way we filmed this was we used a Mocon rig camera, which is like a giant robot with a camera on the end of it. Much like a robot that you would see building cars on a production line.
It's a motion control rig, is it?
It's run by motion, yes, but it's not like motion control in the sense like you do motion capture. But yeah, motion control, it does the same thing every single time, and you know, you don't have to feed it. Doesn't get tired. You know, like all these cameramen that will do eventually, it doesn't do that. So it allowed us basically to film, you know, the positive pass and then the negative pass, which means, you know, if Ben finally decides to try and screw up for us, you know, it'll change like it did there, and the frame it changes is going to be exactly the same. The only difference is the, you know, the band's and the crowd's reaction to you is going to change. And we filmed it. We actually had only about 200 people in our crowd, you know, which is the one you saw with the green screen. Was still, we hadn't finished that one yet, and we would basically take those people and then we would move them back.
Just copy paste.
Yeah, essentially we copy and paste it, but we did real life copy and paste. So we'd move them all back, do it again, and all of a sudden those 200 people, they're like 400 people, they're 800 people, and we'd move them around, and all the tall ones we'd put in different places so you couldn't tell.
And what I like is that you don't just have massive amphitheaters, you've also got kind of like shitty dive bars, which presumably is when you're starting off in a band, you gotta make your way up as well.
Gotta make your way up.
Well, I mean, we're in festivals and stuff like that, and then, I mean, we use the dive bar in a slightly different way. We want to have it as a, like, you know, imagine this band goes and does a gig for its like 100 biggest fans and stuff like that. So we wanted to make it feel a bit more kind of exclusive.
So talk a bit about the sort of the wider world of Guitar Hero. Obviously you couldn't do this for every single song that you were going to release, and digital downloads is a massive part of any of these types of games. They've almost become like services. So talk a little bit about that, the expanded one.
So the other part of the game, you know, GHTV is what we're talking about a lot this E3, and you know, I guess the easiest way to think about it is, if you go back 5 years and you think about, you know, how many people were connected with their consoles, it was a relatively low number. It's something like less than 40%.
Really?
And then like you fast forward to today, I think it's upwards of 80% across all consoles were connected, which is a completely different landscape.
And
right?
people have just gotten used to buying shit on the internet.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, think about how many of us have all got Netflix accounts and things like that. And you know, we don't own that content, but we just use it when we want to use it.
Yeah.
And we, as consumers, we've become these people that when I want something, I just want it when I want it, and I'll go get it because I am connected. So TV was about building a game that spoke to that, and we were able to give our fans and fans of the band's content and music quickly as possible without having to wait and do another disc. You know, we can constantly update it. So TV, you know, it's going to be several channels that are always going to be broadcasting. When you jump into it, you're going to jump into whatever channel's on, and you're going to jump into whatever show's on, and you can just play, and you just play along, and it'll be multiplayer, and you can play against your friends. You'll be match-made against people. You can plug another guitar and you can play. And then there are going to be other on-demand shows with some really cool content, and you know, I'll let Matt talk about that, because we're doing something with Avenge that's really rad, and it's going to be out at launch, and yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, so I mean, at launch, we wanted to be a part of this game, and one thing that was intriguing to us was to release something that's never been released, instead of you know, a song that you know, kids go online, they make their own versions of these, and it's cool to give them something that they've never had. So we have a bunch of live shows from the last few years. We have playing at Donington and, you know, Download Festival. We have Mexico City. We have all these huge shows we recorded. We thought it'd be cool to insert what we do into the game and do some live tracks that no one has yet. And if you order the game, you know, pre-order the game, then you get those tracks. So it's the only way to get them is to get the game early. And you get 3 event 7-fold tracks. And we're going to do a lot of other stuff with our artwork and with the band in general. But that's how we're going to start it off. And so that's what we're excited about, is to give people content that they've never seen. Yeah.
Obviously, that's really cool for Event 7-fold fans to be able to get access to that stuff and play with it. Matt, you've obviously been doing this for a long time, and earlier today I was talking to Tony Hawk. We were doing this sort of documentary about the impact that his franchise has had on video games. One of the things we talked about was how those games, they sold different types of music to people. Like, I remember listening to bands in Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3 that I'd never heard of, and they're bands that I like listen to. Like, the reason I'm wearing Vans shoes is probably because I played a bunch of Tony Hawk. When you get involved in these games, do you ever feel like you're, apart from, you know, getting stuff out there for your fans, do you feel like you're scooping up new fan bases and getting into places you weren't there before?
Absolutely. You know, we did a poll on our website recently and asked people where they heard of us. And it went everywhere from Madden 2004 all the way to Guitar Hero and then Black Ops in between. So for us, you know, you look at the fan base and there's so many people that were introduced to us through either Beast and the Harlot or Chapter 4 on Madden 2004 or Backcountry or Need for Speed, these games. And that's what people, they hear the stuff, they never heard it before, they're being exposed to it the same way radio used to do it, which doesn't have the power anymore. And so being a gamer, it makes sense for us because I play so many games that I want to hear our stuff in it anyways, you know, so I'm a fan of it in the first place. So, but it's also, I mean, the audience is huge and it helps the bands, you know, as much or more than it helps the actual makers of the game. So it's a good relationship.
Cool. Matt, pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. Jamie, pleasure to meet you. Ben, great job. Yeah, go on. Guitar Hero Live, when will people be able to play it and what platforms?
Well, you're going to be able to come and play it on the show floor now, so if you're around, come and check it out.
What if you're on the internet and you're not anywhere near LA?
If you're not anywhere near LA, then you're going to have to wait until October 20th in the US.
All right, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your E3. Really appreciate your time, especially you. Nice work. I know there was a little bit of a delay there. You did a good job. We got a bunch more stuff coming up today. Infinity is going to be on later on, showing off his brand new game on Microsoft. But first of all, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Mighty Number 9. Stay tuned. Awesome.